let's start talking about probiotics. So,
Okay.
Dr. Rose, why don't you start off with talking about like what is a real probiotic? What are probiotics?
So they're live organisms, they're live microbes, and there's different ones, like lactobacillus, akkermansia. They are organisms that are meant to sort of match what we have on our own, right? So that it's like basically what we have, the same organisms that make up our own microbiome. There's also prebiotics. You will also often find products that maybe are just a prebiotic or a pre and probiotic, and that's like food for, that's like, because these are live organisms, you need to feed the organisms. And so it's usually like inulin or some type of food essentially to keep them alive. So it's usually like a fiber that often is what the prebiotic will be.
Gotcha. So sorry, what's the difference between a probiotic and a prebiotic?
So the probiotic is the organism itself. It's the live organism that's going to kind of hopefully sort of match your own microbiome. And then the prebiotic is not live, it's food. It's food for the organism, for the probiotic.
Gotcha. Okay. So if someone's just taking a probiotic, is that useless? Or do you need to take both?
I think, again, if your diet is pretty rich in fiber, you're probably feeding both your own microbiome and the probiotic supplement that you're taking. I think it also depends on the specific nutraceutical supplement and what, how it's formulated in terms of shelf life, and is it refrigerated and all that. Like, does that specific probiotic require a prebiotic in the same product or not? And I usually leave that up to kind of the manufacturers. I mean, the companies that we use are, like, I think of them as kind of like physician grade brands. Like, this is like all they do is formulate these, and I have trust in these brands, and I see good results clinically. So usually if a product from one of these brands is formulated in a certain way, I'll trust that what we're wanting to take a probiotic supplement that actually is what it says it is on the label, that it's alive and it's the same, kind of quantity that's listed on the label. It's not that easy. So people will often say, like, can I pick up a probiotic from wherever? And I'm usually hesitate to say yes to that. Now, if somebody says, can I pick up a B complex or vitamin C from anywhere, that's usually it's a little safer. It's not that hard to formulate, to manufacture vitamins. It's much harder to manufacture probiotics that are actually what they say they are, and that they are alive by the time they actually get to you.
Okay, so why do some probiotics need to be refrigerated and some probiotics don't? And if you're taking a probiotic that is not refrigerated, is it even a real probiotic?
Again, that's kind of a manufacturing question. I don't know the specifics, except that most probiotics do need to be refrigerated. That kind of helps with keeping them viable.
So if you're taking a probiotic that is not refrigerated, are you not actually taking a real probiotic?
Nope. There are some specific ones that are made to stay alive at room temperature, but they need to specifically kind of say that. You need to kind of know that from the company that they are not intended to be refrigerated. Again, it's very brand specific. So most probiotics, most high quality probiotics should be refrigerated, but there's a few in particular that I will give my patients who travel a lot, who whether travel a lot, or they literally have a long commute and they like to take their probiotic in the middle of the day and they don't have access to a refrigerator, and it's just easier for them to have one that they don't have to keep refrigerated. But I can literally think of one like that. So for the most part, they should be refrigerated.
How often are patients coming in and they're just taking like crappy, no good probiotics, prebiotics?
So I can't really speak to I don't know if they're crappy, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, I guess how often do you see a new
know,
patient? Because a lot of people take probiotics. Like even before I even started working on Med Matrix, I was like, I took probiotics. As you think it's like, okay, it's good for your gut. But how often are those actually like I'm just curious, like, are like, because you're talking about like there's very few select brands that you trust and so on and so forth. Like, how often are the patients coming in who are taking probiotics and you're like, yep, that's a great probiotic, keep taking it, versus like, oh no, that's not actually a good probiotic, let's get you on a different one?
I guess the way that I think of it is like, I don't really know. It's not like there's certain brands that I know are crappy. I know ones that I really like. But I just don't have, I guess the way that I would phrase it is I don't have faith in a lot of the products out there. I can't say that it's not going to work for one person. It might be great for that one person, but we are all so unique and our microbiomes are so unique that I think kind of a catch-all of just taking a lot of these probiotics that you can now get, on the shelf of any CVS. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. So I can't make a definitive statement that they're bad for you, but I just can't really speak to it. I think that the kind of common misconception is that we should all be on probiotics all the time. And the other one is that if I'm bloated, that I should take a probiotic. I think those are not always accurate statements.
Okay. Can you tell me more? what you mean by that?
So, depending on one's diet, depending on one's baseline microbiome, it might be beneficial to take a probiotic every day, but it's not necessarily like something that we all need to do no matter what.
When should someone take? We'll get into like how probiotics can like cause more issues, but like when should someone take a probiotic?
If you have been on an antibiotic, afterwards, you can take a probiotic. Now, if you're on an antibiotic, there is one type of probiotic that is safe to take, or not safe, but it's effective while you are on the antibiotic, and that is Saccharomyces boulardii. The reason why is because it's actually a yeast, and so it's not going to get killed off by the antibiotic. So Saccharomyces boulardii is a probiotic, and if you specifically look for that probiotic, that's what, if you take that while you're on an antibiotic, then it can benefit your gut microbiome while you're doing the antibiotic. So anytime so that's the antibiotic topic. And then if you're having, if you have some kind of diarrhea, right? If you have some kind of infective diarrhea, that it can be really beneficial to take a probiotic during that time and even after.
Okay, so this is interesting. So those are the two scenarios you described when you're either taking antibiotics or having diarrhea. These are small parts of your life. So should you be less often on a probiotic than you are more often taking one? That makes sense.
I mean, that's usually how.
If someone's let me say it a different way. If someone's been taking a probiotic every day for the last 5 years, not a good thing.
I can't make definitive statements like that.
Generally,
everybody's different. So, no, it's not necessarily a bad thing. If they feel better on it, if they feel like they digest better, that they're less bloated, that they're pooping better, then yeah, I think it is like a good idea for them to be on it.
Okay, so what if you were taking a probiotic and you're still bloated, your poop is still messed up?
Then one of the first things I do is I have them go off the probiotic because it could be making things worse.
Gotcha. How can a probiotic actually make someone's gut issues worse?
Because if you have what we call dysbiosis, where your microbiome is out of whack, where those organisms that are in your gut are either like in the wrong ratio, you have ones that are too high, others that are too low, and those are just off, that sometimes bringing in exogenous organisms, which is what the probiotic is just going to exacerbate the situation. And so it's again, if we're trying to figure out why somebody is bloated or what factors are contributing to the bloat, that's an easy one to start with. Well, let's just take that out of the equation. Let's see what your baseline is without taking a daily probiotic. Maybe you are still bloated, and I'm not saying that's going to be the only reason that they're bloated, but let's at least take that factor out, that variable out.
Gotcha. Okay. What advantage is there to coming to a functional medicine provider and like yourself and like getting a full workup and like getting a personalized probiotic regimen recommendation versus just kind of doing some research and finding a good brand online and ordering that?
Well, again, as you can tell kind of from this whole conversation, like I really like when we have the opportunity to do a test where we can actually do a stool test and we can actually get kind of a readout of what does this individual's microbiome look like? Which organisms are kind of too low? Which ones are too high? Is there an infection that we need to treat? And if we treat the infection, many times if the person is eating well for them, then the microbiome is going to eventually kind of balance itself out. So that's my preference, is that if they come to me and then we can really kind of figure out specifically what's happening in your gut rather than taking kind of a generic probiotic. Once I know what's happening with this person's microbiome, I can specifically say, oh, look, you're low in Akkermansia. Let's bring in some Akkermansia and let's see what happens. Or I can tell, oh, it looks like, you're five. I can kind of tell that, there's really kind of low levels of short chain fatty acids here. And you tell me you're eating a lot of fiber, but we somehow need to bump that up in your diet, because I can kind of tell from this panel that it's not enough fiber for your needs right now.
Okay. That's really interesting. Really personalized. So I think a lot of people have this like conception that more is better. So with like probiotics, like you'll see like the thing they advertise is like 1 billion probiotics. Is more better with probiotics? Like you just want the biggest number of probiotics on the bottle possible, or is that no? See, shaking.
Not necessarily. Again, it's the quality of the probiotic. It's also which organisms are in there. And so there's like one that I prescribe pretty often, and the maintenance is kind of 2 capsules a day for most people. If somebody's dealing with regular diarrhea for whatever reason, we don't really that their tendencies towards loose stool or diarrhea, I will bump it up to 4 a day. And then if it's something like inflammatory bowel disease and they're having a flare up, I can go up to 10. I know this sounds excessive, but 10 capsules a day of this probiotic for a limited amount of time. So no, more is not always better. Like, most people aren't going to need 10 of those a day. Usually 2 will suffice. So, and within the individual capsule, not necessarily. I don't think more is always better, because it is possible to have too many microbes, too many of these organisms in the gut.
Gotcha. So when I think of probiotics, I don't necessarily think of like life-changing results. I might think of, okay, you're a little less bloated, or 50 years from now you might live a little longer because your gut was healthy. Have you ever like put someone on a probiotic or changed their probiotic regimen and just like completely like seen their health turn around?
Yes, actually. That's not necessarily the only thing that we did, but I think it's usually the cases where I have seen a vast turnaround is when somebody has that IBS-D picture, where they are dealing with diarrhea and urgency and frequency to the point where these are real scenarios They do not leave their house until the middle of the day every day because they are having such frequent bowel movements. Like they literally can't be far from the toilet. They can't schedule anything in the morning because they just need that proximity to the bathroom. I have had people who are in corporate, they are like CFOs, CEOs, and they have meetings all day long every day, and they will not eat because if they eat, they have to go to the bathroom. And so they will intentionally like not eat anything until the end of the workday because they can't sit through meetings without needing to go to the bathroom. For some people like that, if we bring in the right probiotic, and again, there's a couple other tricks that I have, tools that I have, and it reduces the urgency and the frequency of the bowel movements, that is life-changing.
What are these little tricks? You gotta.
There's another product that I like that's immunoglobulins. And so sometimes this high-quality probiotic, it's called VSL number 3 or Visbiome. It's the same, 2 different brands, basically, but the same probiotic blend with immunoglobulins. Those 2 together, for a lot of people, seem to be the right cocktail in, really changing those bowel habits.
Cool. All right. What are your 3 favorite brands for supplements?
Are we talking about probiotics or supplements?
Sorry, probiotics. My bad.
Okay. Brands for probiotics.
Yep.
So Visbiome, Visbiome, and then the one that I think is more like a direct to physician practices, but the same blend, the same probiotic blend, you can, I think, get just online. It's VSL number 3. Mm-hmm. And Claire Labs, Klaire. I think they might be operating under a slightly different brand now, but that one, they have a high quality, just kind of like maintenance probiotic. It's called Therbiotic, THER-biotic. So I like all of those. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Last thing, I'm going to try this share feature here.
Okay.
I got an image for you. Well, while I'm pulling this up, what's your opinion on kombucha for gut health?
Yeah, I mean, fermented foods in general can, again, for some people, can be definitely beneficial. It can be a good way to improve one's own microbiome. It's not the ticket for every single person, but if you feel good on it, it's probably not doing any harm, and it could be helping.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So lately there's been these big, this big explosion of like these sodas that have like probiotics or like probiotic sodas. I saw them at the hot yoga studios. I see them at like health food stores. I see them at like, the local taqueria. Like they're everywhere. Are these sodas with like probiotics good for you? Are they actually helping with gut health, or is it kind of just a marketing thing that makes people feel good?
Think it's probably a marketing thing that makes people feel good. If I had to guess, I would guess that the actual like quantity and specifics of the whatever probiotic is in there is probably not medicinal. Mm-hmm. And then whatever the sugar, even if it's, I don't know what kind of sugar, if it's stevia that they're used to sweetening or what they're putting in there, natural cane sugar, that's probably negating the benefit of the probiotic. So again, it might not be doing a whole lot of harm, but if somebody thinks they can drink that kind of instead of like really addressing gut issues or taking a high quality actual probiotic supplement, I don't think that really works.
Okay. Gotcha.
But I think culturally, I think it's fascinating because again, 15, 20 years ago, people were like, probiotics were kind of like, woo-woo. And it was like, kind of nobody really understood it. And, it was just kind of this weird thing. And now they're on soda cans.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool. That's time for us today. Thank you for everyone who joined us live. If you are interested in becoming a patient, just go to the website, click get started, and you can schedule a time with the patient coordinator to talk. Until then, Dr. Rose, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next one.